And so the weekend and also holiday box office estimates have come in, and well, there's some surprises. And so let's go ahead and take a look at this. And so Deadline is saying that Napoleon conquers the box office globally with a $79 million global debut, and Wish, wow, came out to $49 million worldwide box office. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. And this was surprising because I think a lot of estimates were going to put Wish as the #1 movie, followed by either Napoleon or Hunger Games. It kind of like flip flop. And so it's really close. And then if you actually look at the domestic numbers, #1 was actually The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And even though it didn't have a great debut, it's actually the lowest of the series. I kind of predicted that The Hunger Games had a good chance of either breaking even or becoming profitable, and it seems like it will head that way because right now, globally, it's near the $200 million mark at, I think, $198 million. And then on the second weekend, it had a pretty small decline, I think about 35%. So it made like $28.8 million domestically, which beat out Napoleon, which debuted with $20.4 million for the weekend frame. And then for the whole holiday 5-day weekend, it had $32.5 million. And all of this was, I think, surprising. But what's most surprising was the performance of Wish. Wish was, well, pretty bad. And I would say another Disney disaster. So in this case, it had like 19.5 million for the weekend opening and then 31.7 million for the 5-day total. And then internationally accounted for the additional 17.3 million in 27 markets for a $49 million estimated global bow. And so this is really not good for Disney, especially since the last Disney movie, Marvel, is, what is it this weekend? It's actually down to #6. And it doesn't look like it's going to reach 100 million domestically. Okay, so now it has earned $187 million globally. And yeah, it's not going to make its money back. This is definitely going to be a huge money loser for Disney and the MCU. And it's probably going to be the lowest performing MCU film so far in history. And well, that is definitely a horrible performance, especially when you compare it to Captain Marvel's $1.13 billion final global tally. And the fact that a movie like Thanksgiving trounced it is pretty bad, but it's also a bad sign for Wish because this was, I would say, going to be the last big movie for Disney, specifically for animation. And I don't think there's any other big Disney movies coming out before the end of this year. And then the last big animated movie, Elementals, had a slow start, but I think it ended up with over 400 million, which sounds great. But with the total budget, marketing, and sharing profits and everything, it wasn't a winner for them as well. But definitely way better than what Wish had. And I don't think it's going to perform much better going forward. More than likely, maybe even Trolls is going to perform better when it comes to kids' movies. But going back up to Napoleon, this was a surprise because this is a type of movie that we don't see very often. A historical period piece directed by Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott is one of my favorite directors of all time. I absolutely love Blade Runner. That's in my top 5 movies of all time. And Gladiator. So many fantastic movies. I haven't seen Napoleon yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to watch it because these are the type of movies that I don't typically like unless it's in the whole Gladiator vein. I love that movie. But for it to perform this well, especially in modern movie times here in Hollywood, that is, I would say, very surprising. Because the other movie, Killers of the Flower Moon, directed by legendary director Martin Scorsese, did pretty poor. And both of these movies came from Apple Studios. So as far as I know, the budget for Napoleon from Apple Studios is $200 million. And that's not including marketing, share of profits with movie studios around the world, and all those things, and was distributed by Sony Pictures. So my guess is Napoleon Maybe if it keeps doing well for the second weekend, it might hit the 200 plus to 300 million range. But I don't think it's going to do as well as Hunger Games. Hunger Games is probably going to have the most likely chance of being profitable for these companies. And so, with these numbers, what do I think is going to happen in the future, specifically for Disney? Well, it's not looking good, and we all know this. We've seen it happening for years. And if they continually have these huge losses with these huge budget movies, it's going to be basically game over for Disney when it comes to their movie properties if they don't turn things around. And then for movies like Napoleon, very surprising, but I think this is a really good sign because that kind of tells me that maybe we're coming back to movies of this sort where we have really great directors, writers, just a lot of talent that we've seen perform well over many years. And this is just like classic, tell amazing stories, with characters that you love, all those types of things. And then, the people will come, even if it is for a type of movie that normally modern audiences wouldn't come see. And I'm still really surprised that people actually came out and saw this movie, but we'll see what happens in the following weekends. And then Hunger Games as a whole, if it continues on its pace and it does end up profitable, then we'll probably see more movies in this series yet again in the future. So if you actually had any thoughts on this, be sure to leave it in the comments area below, and I'll see you on another episode. Protect your online privacy and keep data brokers from selling your personal information by using Delete Me, the #1 privacy information remover service since 2010. Sign up today and get 20% off your first order. For more information, check out the affiliate link in the description area below.